Most men believe respect is something other people decide to give them. They think respect comes from success, from money, from confidence, from status. But Machiavelli understood a truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Respect is not awarded. It is provoked. People don't respect you because you ask for it. They respect you because your behavior quietly forces them to reconsider how they see you. The strange part? Most men destroy their own respect without ever realizing it. Not through weakness, but through habits that seem harmless. Explaining too much, always being available, trying to avoid conflict, needing everyone to like them. Every one of those behaviors sends an invisible psychological message. And people respond to that message long before they respond to your words. The world constantly studies your actions. Every pause, every reaction, every boundary, every compromise, whether they know it or not. People are always asking themselves one silent question. How much can I get away with around this person? Your behavior answers that question, not your intentions. Today you'll discover 7 Machiavellian behaviors that naturally command respect, not through intimidation, not through manipulation, but through emotional discipline, strategic thinking, and quiet strength. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some men walk into a room and immediately change its atmosphere, without raising their voice, without demanding attention, without saying very much at all. That is the path of the silent strategist. And once you understand it, people begin treating you differently before you even notice you've changed. People rarely announce that they've lost respect for you. They don't send a message. They don't make a speech. Instead, their behavior changes. They interrupt you more often. They ignore your boundaries. They stop valuing your time. They assume you'll always say yes. And most dangerous part, it usually begins with small compromises. Machiavelli understood that respect is built long before anyone consciously decides to admire you. It's built through repeated patterns, tiny moments, quiet decisions, invisible signals. The first behavior that immediately changes how people see you is surprisingly simple. Stop rewarding disrespect with your attention. Most men believe every problem deserves a response. Someone insults them. They defend themselves. Someone criticizes them. They write a paragraph explaining why they're wrong. Someone spreads gossip. They chase every person involved, trying to clear their name. But every reaction communicates something. It tells the other person, you have access to my emotions. And access creates influence. The silent strategist understands something different. Attention is currency. Every minute you spend reacting to insignificant people, you're investing your most valuable resource in someone who has done nothing to deserve it. Imagine 2 men receiving the exact same insult. The first immediately fires back. He raises his voice. He explains himself. He argues. Everyone watches. The second man listens, looks directly into the other person's eyes, smiles slightly, then calmly continues the conversation as if nothing important happened. Which man appears stronger? Not because silence always wins, but because emotional control always commands curiosity. People begin wondering, what does he know that I don't? Silence creates mystery. Overreaction destroys it. This doesn't mean accepting disrespect. It means choosing your battlefield wisely. Some people deserve a conversation. Others deserve distance. Learning the difference is one of the greatest forms of power, because not every challenge deserves your energy, and not every opinion deserves your attention. The strongest boundaries are often the quietest ones. When someone realizes they can no longer provoke you, they lose one of their greatest sources of control. Respect begins the moment people understand. Your emotions are no longer available on demand. That is the first behavior. Not speaking less, not acting tougher, simply refusing to let insignificant people dictate your emotional state. Because once people realize they cannot control your reactions, they begin treating you very differently. The second behavior is one of the hardest for most men to master, because it requires letting go of something that feels almost natural. The need to explain yourself. Most people believe explanations create understanding. In reality, excessive explanations often create doubt. Think about the people you instinctively respect. A successful business owner, A disciplined leader, someone whose presence immediately changes the atmosphere. Do they spend 10 minutes justifying every decision they make? Rarely. They state their decision. If necessary, they provide a brief reason. Then they move on. Machiavelli understood that certainty is persuasive. Constant justification is not. Imagine your manager changes a deadline. He says, "This is the new plan." Everyone adjusts. Now, imagine he spends 15 minutes nervously explaining why he made the decision, apologizing repeatedly, and trying to convince everyone to approve of him. Which version inspires more confidence? The decision didn't change. Only the delivery did. Many men unknowingly weaken their own authority by asking for permission after they've already made a choice. They say things like, "I hope that's okay. Don't get me wrong. I just wanted to explain. I didn't mean it like that." Every unnecessary explanation communicates uncertainty, and uncertainty invites negotiation. The silent strategist understands that clarity earns more respect than approval. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant. It means becoming comfortable with the reality that not everyone will understand your choices. And that's perfectly acceptable. People who are building something meaningful don't have time to convince everyone watching. They let results speak first. Words come later. There's another reason over-explaining is dangerous. Manipulative people collect information. Every extra sentence reveals another insecurity, another emotional trigger, another weakness they can use later. The less you reveal unnecessarily, the less material they have to work with. Privacy is not secrecy. Privacy is protection. Machiavelli believed that uncertainty creates caution. When people cannot easily predict your thinking, they naturally become more careful around you. That's psychological leverage. Not because you're hiding, but because you've learned that not every thought deserves an audience. When you stop needing everyone to understand your decisions, you begin making better decisions. Because they're no longer driven by approval. They're driven by purpose. Notice what's happening so far. Neither of these behaviors requires becoming louder, or more aggressive, or more intimidating. Quite the opposite. You're becoming calmer, more deliberate, more difficult to manipulate. That's exactly why I created the Dark Mind Protocol. Most men think respect comes from confidence. It doesn't. Confidence is only the visible result. The real source is having a mental framework that tells you exactly when to speak, when to stay silent, when to walk away, and when to hold your ground. Inside the Dark Mind Protocol, you'll learn the psychological operating system behind these behaviors, so they stop feeling like techniques and start becoming your natural identity. If you're serious about becoming the man people instinctively respect, instead of the man constantly seeking validation, open the first pinned comment. Your transformation starts the moment you stop reacting like everyone else and start thinking like a strategist. The third behavior is almost invisible. It changes the way people evaluate you almost instantly. Stop making yourself constantly available. Availability feels generous, but unlimited availability often communicates something entirely different. It communicates that your time has very little value. Think about the people whose attention you value most. A respected mentor, a successful entrepreneur, a high-level executive. Can you reach them at any moment? Usually not. Not because they're trying to appear important, because they protect their priorities. Most men do the opposite. They answer every message immediately, cancel their own plans to satisfy everyone else. Always say yes. Always make themselves accessible. At first, people appreciate it. Eventually, they expect it. And expectations slowly replace appreciation. Machiavelli understood that scarcity changes perception. What is always available is rarely valued. What must be earned becomes desirable. This principle exists everywhere. Luxury brands, exclusive memberships, private clubs, even human relationships. The silent strategist never confuses kindness with constant accessibility. He helps people, but he also protects his own schedule. He understands that every unnecessary commitment quietly steals time from his own mission. Imagine two friends. One responds to every text within seconds, drops everything whenever someone calls, always adjusts his plans for everyone else. The other is warm, respectful, reliable, but sometimes replies later. Sometimes says, "I can't today." Sometimes chooses his own priorities first. Who appears to have a life worth respecting? The second, because boundaries communicate self-respect, and people almost always mirror the level of respect you show yourself. One of the greatest misconceptions is believing that saying no damages relationships. In reality, healthy people respect clear boundaries. Only people benefiting from your lack of boundaries become upset. Read that again. The people who complain when you protect your time are often the people who are consuming it without permission. The silent strategist doesn't apologize for having priorities. He knows his greatest responsibility is not pleasing everyone. It's building the life he was meant to create. Every yes costs something: time, energy, focus, opportunity, which means every unnecessary yes is actually a hidden no to your own future. Once you understand that, protecting your time no longer feels selfish. It feels responsible. The fourth behavior separates emotionally mature men from emotionally reactive ones. Never chase clarity from people committed to confusion. This lesson alone can save years of frustration. Many men waste enormous amounts of emotional energy trying to force honest conversations with dishonest people. They ask, "Why did you do that? What changed? Can we talk? What did I do wrong?" They assume everyone values truth as much as they do. Machiavelli warned against this mistake. Not everyone seeks understanding. Some people seek advantage. Confusion becomes one of their favorite tools. They avoid direct answers. They constantly change the subject. They deny obvious facts. They make you question your own memory. Eventually, you stop analyzing them and start doubting yourself. The silent strategist recognizes this pattern early. He understands that when someone's actions consistently contradict their words, the actions are the truth, not the explanation. People reveal themselves through consistency, not conversation. If someone repeatedly disrespects your boundaries, believe the pattern. If someone repeatedly disappears whenever accountability appears, believe the pattern. If someone repeatedly creates chaos, believe the pattern. You don't need another explanation. You need a better decision. One of the greatest forms of intelligence is knowing when you've already gathered enough information. Because beyond that point, you're no longer seeking truth. You're seeking comfort. And comfort often delays necessary action. The strategist chooses clarity over comfort, even when the truth is disappointing. Because temporary disappointment is far less expensive than years of self-deception. The fifth behavior is one that almost nobody practices consistently, because it feels uncomfortable at first. Let people underestimate you. Most men spend enormous amounts of energy trying to prove how capable they are. They announce every achievement, reveal every plan, show every improvement the moment it happens. Deep down, they're hoping someone notices. But Machiavelli understood something completely different. The greatest advantage often belongs to the person nobody is watching. When people underestimate you, they become careless. They reveal more. They prepare less. They assume they've already figured you out. That assumption becomes your advantage. Imagine two chess players. One constantly brags about every move he intends to make. The other quietly studies the board without saying much. Who is more dangerous? Obviously, the second, because surprise has always been one of strategy's greatest weapons. The silent strategist doesn't chase recognition. He chases preparation. He understands that applause before results is often a distraction. There's something strangely addictive about proving people wrong. But there's something far more powerful. Not caring whether they understand your journey at all. Let them think you're ordinary. Let them believe they've already measured your potential. Then let your actions introduce a version of yourself they never expected. Real confidence doesn't announce itself. It quietly keeps improving while everyone else is distracted. One day, people suddenly call you lucky, what they never witnessed, with hundreds of quiet decisions made long before success became visible. Never interrupt someone who is underestimating you. Sometimes, their mistake is your greatest opportunity. The sixth behavior changes every relationship you'll ever have. Become comfortable disappointing people. That sentence makes many men uncomfortable because from childhood, they've been taught that being a good person means keeping everyone happy. But those are two completely different things. Good people have values. People pleasers have fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of conflict. Fear of being misunderstood. Machiavelli observed that anyone who tries to satisfy everyone eventually belongs to everyone and belongs to himself the least. Think about your own life. How many times have you agreed to something you didn't want, simply because saying no felt uncomfortable? How many weekends disappeared? How much energy? How many opportunities? Not because someone forced you, but because disappointing them felt worse than disappointing yourself. The Silent Strategist made a different decision. He realized something simple. Every mature relationship survives honest boundaries. Only unhealthy relationships depend on your constant sacrifice. That realization changes everything. You stop apologizing for protecting your peace. You stop negotiating every decision. You stop carrying responsibilities that were never yours. Ironically, people often begin respecting you more because certainty creates stability, and stability creates trust. Remember this: if someone only values you when you're useful, they never truly valued you. They valued your convenience. There is a massive difference. Your responsibility isn't becoming everyone's favorite person. Your responsibility is becoming someone who can look in the mirror with complete self-respect. Everything else comes afterward. The seventh and final behavior is the one that ties every lesson together. Become outcome-driven instead of emotion-driven. This may be the greatest difference between ordinary men and strategic men. Most people make decisions based on how they feel today. They wake up motivated. They work hard. They wake up discouraged. They quit. Someone praises them. They feel unstoppable. Someone criticizes them. They question everything. Their emotions become the steering wheel of their lives. Machiavelli warned against this long before modern psychology existed. He understood that emotions constantly change. Purpose does not. The Silent Strategist asks a question that most people never think to ask. What outcome am I trying to create? That single question immediately changes how you respond. Someone insults you. Do you defend your ego or protect your future? Someone rejects you. Do you chase their approval or invest your energy somewhere that actually moves your life forward? Someone tries to provoke you. Do you give them the satisfaction or quietly continue building your mission? Every situation becomes easier once the outcome is more important than the emotion. Imagine an archer aiming at a distant target. He doesn't release the arrow based on how confident he feels. He adjusts. He breathes. He focuses. His attention remains fixed on the target. Life rewards the same discipline. The men who quietly build extraordinary lives aren't the ones with the strongest emotions. They're the ones whose decisions remain connected to long-term outcomes instead of temporary feelings. This is why strategic men appear calm. It's not because they feel less. It's because they refuse to let emotions become the architect of their future. If you've stayed with me until this moment, you probably noticed something. None of these 7 behaviors require you to become louder, more aggressive, or more intimidating. In fact, they require the opposite: greater patience, greater awareness, greater emotional discipline. Respect isn't created by forcing people to admire you. It's created when your behavior consistently communicates that your time, your attention, and your standards cannot be easily manipulated. That is why some men naturally command respect the moment they enter a room. Not because they're physically stronger, not because they're richer, but because every action quietly communicates certainty. And certainty is magnetic. This is exactly the transformation I wanted to create with the Dark Mind Protocol. Not another collection of motivational quotes, not empty confidence tricks, but a complete psychological operating system designed to help you think several moves ahead, recognize manipulation before it happens, establish powerful boundaries, and develop the quiet presence that people instinctively respect. Thousands of men spend years trying to change their results without ever changing the way they think. The protocol changes that. If you're ready to stop chasing respect and become the kind of man who naturally earns it, Open a first pinned comment. That's where your real transformation begins. Before you leave, I want you to write one sentence in the comments. Respect begins with self-respect. Read what other people write. You'll notice something interesting. The men who truly understand today's lesson don't talk about controlling others. They talk about mastering themselves, because that's where every form of lasting power begins. Until next time, protect your attention, protect your standards, move with intention, and remember, the silent strategist never asks the world for respect. He becomes impossible to disrespect.